The magic of the microphone. The magic of the microphone. Greetings, dailies and mental gem. The Behringer BA85A, which I've had for a while. That's the microphone name. How I came by it, I can't remember. But the £12 asking price must have caught my eye. Just to think, really. Unboxing charts and accessories. I've done that, really. You know what it comes with, he says. In a sleeve. Comes with a perfectly usable case, but I still use my pencil cases or the biodynamic bags because it's a bit big. Not complaining really, but and you know that it's got a clip inside, microphone clip. I can get one out, don't use it, with an adapter. What can you say? All for £12. And of course, getting a bit messy here, I've got to do a bit of tidying up. It comes with just a simple sheet, fair enough, with the frequency plot and a little bit of other information. So there we go. What the manufacturer says. Well, they say a few bits and bobs. I've got them here. Seems a bit darker than normal. I don't know. Can't see why that would be. Supercardioid, okay. It says it gives good separation. Obviously. It says it has an internal shock mount. We'll see. We've heard things about that. It says it has a pop filter. Usual thing with foam. I've heard people say things about that. It says it comes with a mic clip and a case. It says it has a remarkably flat frequency response. Smooth mids. Presence lift. Well, most mics do. I'm not all that keen on too much of it myself, but anyway. It says tough metal construction. It also mentions somewhere it's the only microphone you'll ever need. Well, okay. Fit, finish, feel, and accessories. We'll look at it from above in a minute. Just before we do that, here it is with an SM58. And as you can see, very similar. Apparently this here, this ridge, which when we look from above, it doesn't do anything. It's just, is it decoration or is it pretending to look like? I don't know. This one does unscrew there. It's not rocket science to be able to do that. So I don't know. Maybe that's just decoration. And it's slightly, it's quite broad there. So it's not even pretending really to unscrew, I don't think. Sorry. This is the beta, not the A. I prefer the beta. Look at my videos. But the beta A looks very almost identical, so you can see what's going on there. Anyway, I'm going to do a comparison across at some stage. We'll stick with this one. So we'll look from above, but just to let you know, they're pretty good. Very impressive, actually. Smooth. Not much play until you need the play. No complaints at all with that. And if I put a Neumann clip in, Neutrik clip in, not going to rattle about. I would say that is as good as it gets, no matter what you're spending. That's very impressive to me. I don't like sloppy clips. Some of them are a bit, or some of them are overly tight. This one is snug, to be sure. Regarding the case, I did it on the unboxing. It's Seems as if it'll last to me. I don't know, it's got a hinge here rather than just the bent plastic. It uses the bent plastic there, which I've found quite reliable actually. And certainly in this area here, the bent plastic doesn't have to move very far. I can't really show you, but it only has to come from there to there, if you can see. It doesn't have to bend all the way back. This, of course, is likely to have to bend all the way back. It's very smooth. There's no play. Maybe they figured with just the thin plastic that it would deteriorate from doing that. I don't know how well the hinges will hold up. Something I'll say now in case I forget. For some reason, which I'll tell you later, I wanted to get a spare one of these because I wanted to use it. I'll tell you, I wanted to use it on something else. I'll show you in a future video. And so I contacted a few places for spare parts. I couldn't see any. This thread is not the same as the Shure, surprisingly, strangely. Or maybe it's because Shure sticks with USA or English imperial threads from way back, and they've kept it the same, which I think they have because the modern ones still screw on. Maybe this is metric. Anyway, they look like they'll fit, but they won't screw on. So it's obviously a similar size, but just not the threads are different. So I looked for a spare one of these, and it seemed almost impossible to get. One of the suppliers said, you won't be able to get them. They don't do any spares for this. So I will mention now, talking about if it's very well made. You're unlikely, but it seems difficult to get that or any other parts, he said. They don't do spares for it. Whether you'll need them, who knows? How long this will last on the road, who knows? So I can't say anything about that. And if it's damaged and needs spare parts, he did kind of say, well, the whole mic costs 12 quid. If you wanted to buy an SM58 grill, say it did fit, or a copy, it's probably going to cost you near enough 12 quid anyway, so you may as well buy a whole new mic. Environmentally, not great. Anyway, the only reason I want a new grill is because I've got some other project going on I'll tell you about later. But so far, so good with everything. That's all I can say. Close-ups, then. Here we are, looking from above. This is Behringer in question. This is the other Behringer, which name I can't remember. It'll be on the back there, the SX8500. USA Shure SM58. Beta. This is Behringer electret condenser, and there's a biodynamic M88. So you get an idea of the size. Most specifically, I suppose, these two. You can see 70s 58 and the Behringer. Anyway, I've done this before, but I'll do it again. Save you going back and searching the other video out. Hopefully it will focus. Apparently this is just decoration. It's okay, quite like it. I imagine that's probably decoration as well, rather than just having a plain body. I don't know if they're pretending to it unscrews. Why would you bother? Who needs it? Can't tell if they're gold coloured or not. But anyway, even if they're gold plated, it will wear off. So really, absolutely nothing to complain about. As I said, that seems to be what I thought it was, but now it doesn't feel like it. Yes, this seems to be kind of engraved. You can feel it there more, but that's larger lettering, obviously. So yeah. This we've done before, do it again. As I said, thread's very good. And what can you say about that? Quite thin, the foam. So if there are any pop issues, you might be able to put a little bit more in there. You have to fiddle about. And as we've seen before, this washer sort of hangs around. So be careful when you put it back that it's centered. And don't mess about too much with those fine wires and this. Not much to see. Showed you it before. We know this is a treble resonator. There's a video I've done on the capsules. And we know that this has its suspension, which seems quite promising. And there are a number of mics that have that kind of suspension, but sometimes it still doesn't seem to do as much of a job as you'd hope. So what can I say apart from, well, are you going to worry? Are you going to fuss about that washer? I mean, all right, apart from that, almost, I'd say nothing to complain about, almost at any price. Almost. Well, let me push myself. What would I complain about? That could be cemented or something. Other than that, at any price? Do you want to make that look prettier? Why? Do you want to have a diamond inlaid in there? If you get what I'm saying. So that's a bit of a fiddle, but you're not going to be doing it. And as I said, well, there you go. You're not going to be doing it. Very nice. Job done. That's it then. So the next thing to do is plug it in. And for all that, lovely as it is, does it sound any good? That's the question. We'll find out shortly. Okay, here we go. Just before we have a listen, I'm going to put the frequency chart on screen. And, well, there's no proximity. It looks pretty flat, with a slight rise towards the top and a considerable dip before it recovers, and then it tails off. One of the reviews I did see, I think Sound on Sound, a very reputable magazine, said doesn't really get to 16. Does drop off considerably. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to expect from that, really. I expect it to be a bit bright at the top there with that little hump just there. I might expect it to be a little bit lacking in the bass, but there's no proximity trace, so anyway. All right, let's get to the business then. I've set this up as best as I can and move straight across, and we'll see what do I notice immediately moving across to the BA85A. What do I notice immediately? What do I notice immediately? What do I notice immediately? Well, I noticed that little bit of handling noise when it first came in. Then I noticed obviously not as big and expansive as SV33. I noticed that immediately. That. Maybe a little, I wondered if there's a little bit of a dip in the mid. And then the, I think I noticed that. Let's go back to the SV33. Back on the SV33. Back on the SV33. Back on the SV33. Going back now to the BA85A. Back on the BA85A. So yeah. That little bit at the top there in my voice. And a little bit of the there. It is a dynamic. It actually seems to me to be relatively neutral. A little bit of the there. We'll come to that later. So that's what I noticed. I've got this isolating the frequency. I'm going to do it. So I'm going to take the bass and the mid out. That's the bass and the mid out. That's the bass and the mid out. So that top that's left there seems to me to be reasonably sweet. I'm quite pleased with that. Well, I say I'm pleased with it. Yeah, so that's the top there, left in. This is just leaving the mid. This is just leaving the mid. I'll sweep it around a bit. Nothing to be done with sweeping. If I boost it a bit, then that's the mid. That's sweeping it around a bit, up and down there. All of that sounds reasonably okay. Just going to leave it flat. That's just with the mid, the bass and treble removed. This is with the bass, the treble and the mid removed, and just leaving the low end in there. So all of it to me sounds quite musical. Nothing seems to stand out that much. We put everything back. Put everything back. Put everything back. Yeah, sounds pretty good to me. Maybe more of that than I'd like. We'll see. Definition, breath, hiss, and detail. does seem to me to be relatively fast. I do hear detail in there, I feel, when I breathe in. SV33. More expansive. Pretty good for a dynamic. You can hear that whistly bit at the top there. So it's got that going on the whole time. Hiss. SV33. Behringer. So again, it's got that bit at the top there spiking away, which is, you know, it's, we know about that, or most of these dynamic mics do that. I think it's harder for a dynamic mic to be flat because there are resonant frequencies. If you read that thing, the book I've mentioned several times, quite interesting. There are resonant frequencies which they try to tame, and all those diaphragms have. I think with a condenser, because you've got that amplifier in there, you can do things electronically, EQ-wise, to reduce that. Not so easy on a dynamic because it's passive. I do like dynamics being passive. Proximity, near and far. There we are. Gentle. What can you say? Probably doesn't go low enough for me, but you know, it's deliberately, I imagine, a kind of SM58-ish type thing. Obviously this one's blue, probably hints at the 58A, but nonetheless, it's not trying to be an M88. Does it go? It does all right for me. Does it go? It does all right for me. Does it go? It does all right for me. 33. Does it go? It does all right for me. Does it go? It all right for me. Does it go? It all right for me. Does it go? It does all right for me. Does it go? It does all right for me. Does it go? You know, yeah. Not many people are going to do that kind of stuff on over there, I don't know. So yes, I'd say okay. I think so far very well judged. Polar pattern. Here I am straight on as you can see, straight on as you can see, that ever-present straight on as you can see, straight on as you can see, coming round to the side, 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 and there's a full rejection, which is very good. Coming round to the back, 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 and a bit of leakage there because I believe it is supercardioid. It could be wrong, but I think so. There, full rejection roundabout there, and actually quite benign there in terms of coloration. Coming round to the front, coming round to the front, coming round to the front, coming round, and now I'm back on the front. That's polar response. Handling, self-induced noise, none. Self-induced noise. Handling, well, here we go. Quite a lot of low stuff, despite that suspension. So if you're going to do, I did notice I have used this on gigs on the class during the summer. I have used it fairly loud, not rock loud, but loud enough. No problems with feedback and stuff like that. But you did notice when you're putting this, the students, particularly inexperienced ones, putting it in and out of the stand and on a clip that doesn't fit too well, so you've got to wrestle with it a bit. There's some of that going on. So what you're going to do? Not fiddle with it. Actually, the SE Electronics, some of those have that kind of noise. The biodynamic, some of the buyers, the M88 has, but it's higher. So don't fiddle with it. Have a clip where you can, the biodynamic clips are very good. If you can see that one there, you can just, or if you really must, if it's really an issue, I've on some of my mics, I've got this, can you see this red switch here? So that switches the mic on and off, it's on the cable there. So you switch it off, do your fiddling around. When you're ready in position, switch it back on. Other than that, you're going to have to be careful, because particularly if you keep taking it in and out of a stand and it's the kind of clip that doesn't fit. This clip I've got here, don't know if you can see it, it's a kind of butterfly clip, so you can open it, put it in, squeeze it. They're quite inexpensive. If you're finding that an issue and you like this mic, that one of those clips maybe, or as I say, the switch or whatever. So that's that. Pops, S's. Oh, before I do that, I do this sometimes because sometimes a little bit of that, particularly that, seems to come through in that sound to me, so to give you an idea what that's like. And before I move on, if I emulate being on a stand, you can hear that. Now, you hear that little click there sometimes. I've noticed with those very lossy mounts, SE Electronics as well, and something else, I think maybe the Master Reference, AKG, that they seem to get either reach the end of their travel or something, they can get a little click if you're being really aggressive with it. Pops and S's, well, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. 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 Peter Piper picked a peck. Who do you think you're fooling? 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 See my video on pops and stuff, holding it to the side, reducing it with good technique if it doesn't make you too sad. There are things that can be done. It's not disastrous. People say it was pretty disastrous. You've got to be a bit careful there, as you can hear. S's, because it's got that top at the top, we'll see. Susie, Susie, shoeshine girl, sitting in a shoeshine shop. All day long she sits and shines, all day long she shines and sits. Sits and shines and shines and sits and sits and shines and shines and sits and sits and shines and shines and sits. Susie, Susie, shoeshine girl, sitting in a shoeshine shop. Yes, it's got that right there at the top. How am I invited to sing? Well, how am I invited to sing? 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 I said, how am I invited to sing? How am I invited to sing? How am I invited to sing? I got, it's got a bit of something going about, you know, that comes across quite nicely, and that detail at the top, it kind of works. Now you've got something in the background, kind of didn't work, and I'm going to leave it to Mr. Manuel later, but just for now, just for now. Oh, hey, yeah, hey, no, yeah, all that area there, I'm 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 quite fine with, quite fine with, quite. Come on, won't you? Come on, won't you? Come on, won't you? Come on. Come on, won't you? Come on, won't you? Come on, won't you? Come on. Come on, won't you? Come on, won't you? Come on, won't you? Come on. Come on, won't you? Come on, won't you? Come on, won't you? Come on, won't you? Jack, 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 yeah. Well, you know, yeah, it's got that isn't it? It's quite fun. It's quite fun. That ever-present thing. Maybe through PA, you're not going to hear that as much. But just using it here, I mean, to be honest, well, am I going to do this? I wasn't going to do this. Am I going to do this? I wasn't going to do this. Well, I've got my USA 58. I know that this isn't particularly, they're looking at the 58A, but I use this anyway for all mics, just as a bit of, because everybody seems to know it. And this is one of the better ones in my experience, the oldest USA one. If you listen to my vocal variations where I use the USA one and the current one, particularly when it comes to speaking at the end, they're very different, it seems to me. See what you think. Well, I'm just thinking, so what are you buying when you buy a 58? They're quite different. So, and this one I don't think is particularly planned to be that. So let's go between them. This is the Behringer. This is the Behringer. This is the Behringer. This is the SM58. 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 This is not the SM58. This is not the SM58. This is not the SM58. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. 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 That's a 58 there. Who do you think are fooling? 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 Susie Shoeshine 58. Susie Shoeshine girl sitting in a shoeshine shop. Susie Shoeshine girl sitting in a shoeshine shop. Behringer. Susie Shoeshine. Can you hear that? Susie Shoeshine girl sitting in a shoeshine shop. And underneath that, Susie Shoeshine girl sitting in a shoeshine shop. I'm just going to do this because I think it was worth it. I was playing around with it earlier. I know it's a bit of a pain in the neck, sorry. But so, this is the Behringer just a treble. This is the Behringer just a treble. The mid and the bass rolled off, so there's some of it in there, but according to the desk, it's down as much as the desk goes. This is the Behringer. This is the SM58. This is the SM58 with just a treble. This is the SM58 with just a treble. This is the Behringer with just a treble. You can hear that really high stuff. This is the Behringer with just a treble. This is the Behringer with just the middle. This is the Behringer with just the middle. This is the Behringer with just the middle. This is the SM58 with just the middle. This is the SM58 with just the middle, so the treble and the bass are rolled off. This is the SM58 with the treble and the bass rolled off. This is the Behringer with the treble and the bass rolled off. This is the Behringer with the treble and the bass rolled off. This is the Behringer with just the bass on. This is the Behringer with the middle and the treble rolled off. This is the Behringer with the middle and the treble rolled off. This is the SM58 with just the treble, middle and the treble rolled off. This is the SM58 with the middle and the treble rolled off. This is the Behringer with the middle and the treble rolled off. It's got a cleaner bass, hasn't it? This is the Behringer with the treble, middle and the treble rolled off. Okay. Likes, dislikes, possible improvements. Well, that is one of them. Yeah. You have to work a way of doing that if you don't play with it, or if you have it in the stand, not that bad in the stand, actually. Not going to be that bad. A switch, as I say, or a clip if you keep moving it. Says that Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. People mentioned about that. It doesn't seem to be, to me, that bad compared to others. You could put a foam thing on if you want, but it doesn't seem to be, compared to others. It seems to be thereabout. The general tone of it, I like. I think it's well balanced. I like just enough of that warmth there. It goes just about low enough for me. Not many people do what I do. Well, don't mean it like that, but I mess around. But it seems nice, even just for talking. I do like it. I like the sound of it. I like the look of it. It's quite cheery, I find. I think it's well built, well made. Any other improvements? You got that there. It's not so bad. It is a dynamic, and it's meant to emulate, I believe, a certain style of dynamic. Most of them got that stuff sizzling at the top. That's what they do. They want to sell it, so they're going to copy that, I think. But I think it's very musical. That's what I think it is. I think it's musical. The S is, even if it's there, it's like a little bit, but I think it's quite sweet and musical. The mid-range is nice. I like I like the speed of it. I like the speed of it. I like the speed of it. So, yeah. Very good, actually, I would say. Not going to mention the price. Big ears, handing noise. But anyway, we'll go see what the man has to say. And I'll see you next time.
Maybe you're poor, maybe you have wealth, maybe in demand or maybe baby on the shelf. Whatever your situation, there's one thing you should do. Reject all automation, let me work on you. I'm Mr. Manual. Automatic's not my style. I like a manually manipulate you. It's guaranteed to make you smile. on my style. They call me Mr. Manual, ornaments on my style. I let the manual manipulate you. It's guaranteed to make you smile. Let the manual manipulate you. Oh, it's guaranteed to make you smile. Yes. La retadora descarada. ¿Eh?